Welcome to all the aspirants on my channel. In this video, I'll discuss with you the micro topics, and in fact, not only this, the micro topics to the extent Indian foreign policy could be asked to you in various examinations. So let's begin. Indian foreign policy, first of all, you have to understand the determinants, objectives, and goals. आपको इंडियन फॉरेन पॉलिसी पढ़ने से पहले फॉरेन पॉलिसी के क्या डिटर्मिनेंट्स ऑब्जेक्टिव और गोल होते हैं वो पढ़ लेना चाहिए. Most of the time, the determinants, objective goals are a term for same heads. ज्यादातर क्या होता है कि जो जैसे नेशनल इंटरेस्ट एक डिटर्मिनेंट है, तो नेशनल इंटरेस्ट एक गोल भी हो सकता है, नेशनल इंटरेस्ट एक ऑब्जेक्टिव भी हो सकता है. तो ऑल दीज थ्री हेड्स हैव सेम काइंड ऑफ सब हेड्स. For example, the general determinants, national interest and state sovereignty could also be the goal of your foreign policy, and it could also be the objective of your foreign policy. So, all these three heads, whenever it is asked, tell the objectives of foreign policy or tell the goals of your foreign policy, you can just rewrite down the same heads, though not rewrite down, because at present I am coaching you people to appear in objective kind of examination, that is JNUEE or SAO. But in future, wherever you reappear in certain other exams, which can ask you to give you descriptive kind of questions, whatever kind of question it is, will have same kind of subheads. So the general determinants are national interest, state sovereignty. Internal determinants like population, what kind of population, what kind of ethnic population, what kind of the complexity of the population, or our, for example, our diaspora could also be counted in our population, because if a diaspora is having a problem outside India, obviously there will be a internal pressure on a government to redirect Indian foreign policy. For example, there is some kind of calamity, or very latest like COVID issue was there. So from internal pressures, we have to bring back our Indian people who were working in other parts of the nation. So we had many missions to bring back our population. So this is also a determinant of our foreign policy. Historical roots, for example, India was a colonial state, or there could be any other like historical roots, like Japan could be an imperial state, or other specifically factors. You can just elaborate upon these points. Geographical location is very important. So because the geography is like key to political geography, because the geopolitical situations comes out of the geographical location. Natural resources, obviously, if we don't have our own natural resource, we will be dependent on any other state which provide us those natural resource. For example, oil per se, we don't if we don't have much reserves of oil within our boundaries, so we need to import it. And whatever fluctuations are there in the global prices of oil, or there is, for example, some turmoil in those areas which produce oil, or some war, it will obviously have an impact on our internal determinants, because our population will suffer and will have an internal pressure on India's foreign policy to rearrange for those resources. Economy, for example, the strongest economy will have more say in international organizations like IMF, because they'll have a better ranking there, or per se WTO to renegotiate some kind of agreements in respects of our own population. So economic and military strength, that is very obviously, if you're very strong, if you have a strong military, obviously you feel that your borders will be secure. So that is an internal determinant for India's foreign policy or foreign policy per se. External determinants like world order, what is happening in the world, involvement of international as well as regional organization is an external determinant. Suppose if we have some kind of issue, for example, some kind of naval officers were caught in our Indian waters, so they might put external pressures via external international organizations. They or like Kulbhushan Yadav case, where India had tried to put a pressure on Pakistan. These kind of factors are external determinants in any foreign policy. there could be systematic pressures on foreign policy, like from domestic, from regional, and international. Sources of Indian foreign policy could be like ancient, like we had like trade relations to Mesopotamia or other places, and like Silk Route and all. China is trying to build, rebuild that kind of glory via Belt and Road Initiative. So it has its line from ancient factors. And like medieval times, like Indian polity, Indian population was diluted and rebalanced because of influx of many immigrants from other parts, and like immigrants of many foreign powers also, which came here and settled and made India their home. So medieval also had a kind of impact on foreign policy of any state. Like even suppose in medieval time, they take example of Korea, it was being a victim of China and Japan rivalry. So there were continuously war and contest happening in that region. So medieval factor plays an important part in foreign policy of those kind of states. Anti-colonial legacy, obviously, like India and other colonial time states, those who were victim of colonization, they will ponder upon this point more. Next slide. You have to read Indian foreign policy in parallel with the history. So for Indian foreign policy, you read Indian foreign policy and India post independence together. Or you can just read that India post independence NCRT and then come to Indian foreign policy. So that because already you have covered world history, then you cover India's post independence. And when you read Indian foreign policy, you will be able to reconnect the dots with both the world politics as well as the regional politics happening. So this will make your concept more and more clear. अगर आप इंडिया की फॉरेन पॉलिसी को इंडिया पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस और वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री के बीच में पढ़ेंगे तो बहुत ही ज्यादा क्लियर कॉन्सेप्ट होके आपके दिमाग में एकदम बहुत ही ज्यादा क्लियर कंसेप्ट रहेगा, क्योंकि आप रिलेट कर पाओगे और आपको रीजंस पता होंगे कि जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल नेहरूवियन टाइम में नैम उन्होंने क्यों लिया था और कौन कौन सी मीटिंग्स में जाके नेहरू जी के क्या क्या स्टेक्स रहते थे। क्योंकि इंडिया तभी के तभी एक तो आजाद हुआ था, तो इंडिया पोस्ट इंडिपेंडेंस वाला कल्चर रहेगा। और एक इंडिया ऐसे चाहता था कि जो फॉरेन पार्स है वो हमारे घर से थोड़े दूर रहें। तो जैसे आप वर्ल्ड पॉलिटिक्स और वर्ल्ड के टाइम पे एक ये भी हो रहा था कि कोल्ड वॉर टाइम था, जैसे 1945 में जैसे ही वॉर खत्म होती है तो सब दो हिस्सों में बट जाते हैं। मतलब एक रशिया वाला ब्लॉक हो जाता है, एक यूएस वाला ब्लॉक हो जाता है। तो नेहरू जी ऐसे जैसे जो ये कॉलोनियल स्टेट पोस्ट कॉलोनियल टाइम के जो स्टेट बने थे, उनको उन चीजों से दूर रखना चाहते थे। तो इनका बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल था नैम में। नैम के बारे में आप बहुत अच्छे से पढ़िएगा। लाइक बेलग्रेड कॉन्फ्रेंस से स्टार्ट कीजिएगा, एफ्रो एशियन कॉन्फ्रेंस पढ़िएगा, फर्स्ट नैम समिट 1961 बेलग्रेड वाला याद रखिएगा, एशिया रिलेशन कॉन्फ्रेंस 1947 में जो हुई थी न्यू दिल्ली में, जिसको गांधी जी ने भी अटेंड किया था, वो सारी चीजें आप कीजिएगा। और नेहरूवियन एरा में एक इंडिया चाइना बॉर्डर वॉर भी हुई थी, वो भी आप पढ़िएगा। तो रीड ऑल इवेंट्स with respect to prime ministers as well as world politics, and you can even involve regional politics here. तो जैसे जैसे आप सारे प्राइम मिनिस्टर्स पढ़ेंगे ना, आप उनके नीचे नीचे के सारे हेड्स पढ़िएगा, तो आपको ये भी चीज क्लियर होगी कि ऐसा हुआ तो क्यों हुआ और उसका रीजन क्या था। लाल बहादुर और नेहरू वेनेरा को आप थोड़ा ज्यादा आइडलिस्ट भी बोल सकते हैं, थोड़ा सा आप ऐसे भी बोल सकते हैं कि सोवियत टर्न था। they had like Soviet impacts on our models also. We adopted 5-year plans and all that stuff, which you have already covered in world history and world economy and Indian economy. So I had made this plan specifically for those students who want to clear it for 100% and are doing a systematic study. And this is our last video for other parts. And from next video onward, we'll begin with political science. So stay connected. एवोल्यूशन ऑफ इंडियन फॉरेन पॉलिसी वैसे ही देखना है जैसे नेहरूवियन एरा के टाइम पे, जैसे आप आइडियलिस्ट टाइम से स्टार्ट कीजिए, फिर जैसे इंदिरा गांधी के टाइम पे जो चीजें हो रही थी तो थोड़ा सा रियलिस्ट टर्न आ रहा था, फिर स्ट्रक्चरल रिफॉर्म्स आ रहे थे। तो यू हैव टू रीड इंडियन फॉरेन पॉलिसी, यू जस्ट find these topics, write it down on the Google and try to find out very good articles or small videos on YouTube to clear these concepts. I'm just giving you the heads, and giving you a very brief introduction so that whenever you read these points, the things are clear in your mind. Why did I say you to read these points only? Then नेहरू जी के बाद नेहरू जी का एरा कब था 1947 से 64 तक. Then after 1964, there came Lahar Bahadur Shastri. What important events happened under Lahar Bahadur Shastri were like Indo-Pak War of 1965 and the other events like Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan, because food security was also an important point. And then you can just read something about Tashkent Agreement. So where is Tashkent? Who brokered it? All these things should be read within a timeline. Then comes Indira Gandhi time from 1966 to 77, and again she came up in power in 1980 to 84. So the first time of Indira Gandhi, it would be like just read about what is Indira Doctrine. And here, if I mentioned Indira Doctrine, then just also read Gujral Doctrine also, which is very, very important in terms of India's foreign policy, because these kind of doctrines will make you understand the shifts in Indian policy, like from idealist Nehruvian time to Indira Gandhi's time, like bit realist, and to Gujral Doctrine time, like non-alignment to genuine non-alignment kind of things. You should just read and try to reconnect. So Indira Gandhi's time, like 1971 war with Bangladesh, how she was trying to renegotiate India's stand on that war, or India's need to do the war on world stage, and India was also suffering from food security. So these kind of things should be because Pakistan was not really in mood to help India in those cases. So here in this time of Indira, there was a shift from Pakistan towards tilt towards Soviet Union, and Indo-Soviet Peace Treaty, Friendship and Cooperation Agreement of 1971 should also be read by you. After first time of Indira Gandhi until 1977, there came Janta government for short period, and they followed something called genuine non-alignment. And here, like Indira was more closer to Soviet, so the Janata Party became it more closer to USA. So just try to see the reflects and also try to read these reflects in the lines of world politics. Then the Rajiv Gandhi government. Rajiv Gandhi also tried to had like a very modern, try to portray a modern image of India in the world order. He was the one who was very vocal about introducing computer education and empowerment of India. So there was again like very practicality in India's foreign policy, and he even tried to solve the regional politics, like those of sending our a dispatch of Indian peacekeeping forces to Sri Lanka to solve that Tamil problem. These things are also debated upon, because was it his right decision or not? But you have to read what was the major steps taken by these leaders. Like Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi also visited China in 1988. Then the very next year he visited Pakistan in 89. And Rajiv Gandhi was the leader under whom like SARC as a body, like in 1985, SARC was formed. So for SARC, you try to read extensively. SARC should be read very completely from all timeline to present time. SARC should be read in depth by all my students. So after Rajiv Gandhi came like National Front government, like from VP Singh of one for one or less than a year, Chandrasekhar Azad government. Then comes PV Narasimha Rao 91 to 96. Here again the policy of non-alignment seem to be bit weakening. And here, actually, the Kumar Gujral, who was our external affairs minister, he gave the Gujral doctrine, which is very, very important. Uh, then he even said so while doing Gujarat doctrine and while doing Indira doctrine, please try to write down the important heads under it. Like Indira doctrine, it was something like that the neighbor should try to solve whatever issue is there between them bilaterally. They should not try to involve the foreign powers, because even she wanted to keep the foreign powers out of our region. So Gujarat doctrine, in other sense, it tried to like re reflect India's image, like India being big brother, it should take the care of other thing, and non-reciprocal, like if we give assistance to some states like Nepal, Bhutan, we are not in return willing to take any favor back. So non-reciprocal word should be read in your notes when you write, like Indra Kumar Gujral's doctrine. So from here, like for South Asia, look east policy actually started under PV Narasimha Rao. So then Indra Kumar Gujral became like prime minister for some time. So his national security was most important issue. India's right to take independent decision, because it wanted to India's foreign policy to be respected. So if you are asked to be in, to state something in timeline, so it is like look east policy. Then Gujral doctrine came after look east policy. Okay. Then Big Brother role, I already told you. Then people to people diplomacy was a kind of something which was being reflected and tried to be like promoted by Indra Kumar Gujral, because uh, South Asia as a region, it was actually very much interconnected before partition. Like the trades were very much interconnected.